are you? It's Jay Victoria, the Energy Queen. I had an idea to do this video and it is so crazy. As soon as I had the idea, I was walking up to my apartment and there were two doors to get in my apartment and both of the doors were being held by someone who was exiting. So I was carrying my guitar, I was carrying a bunch of bags, and that really meant something to me because like I didn't have to put down all my stuff. What I'm saying is I know that I'm really meant to do this video. I think it's not only going to open doors for me, it's going to open doors for you. So here is what I'm going to tell you about. Like miraculous, cool stories connected to one specific thing, the Divine Mercy. And if you don't know what the Divine Mercy is yet, it is this really, really interesting thing that originated in the 1930s. Jesus started appearing to a Polish nun. Her name was Faustina Kowalska. And this is before World War II in Poland. And he commissioned her basically to make an image of him with his arms outstretched. Because we're usually seeing him on the cross and like dead or dying. He wanted this image of himself with his arms stretched out and two rays of light, one blue and one red, representing the blood and the water, that when he was on the cross, they cut him open and those two miraculously flowed out. Like, you know, it was a miracle that happened like that. And she had that image painted and then the words, "Jesus, I trust in you," on the bottom of the image. And that image and the whole concept of that is called the Divine Mercy. And so when we're thinking about Jesus, if you are trying to figure out Jesus or get to know Jesus, and not just what the world has told you about him, but like, who is that really? What is the energy of Jesus? The Divine Mercy is a beautiful door to walk through, to explore, because I'm telling you, I'm going to share 3 miraculous stories that I have connected to the Divine Mercy. And I'm going to be honest, I've been trying to figure out how to talk about Jesus because I work with energy. If you know what I do, I see energy visually, I clear negative energy, I do sessions, I do feminine coaching work. And in my viewpoint, like my work really started, I'm going to get to the stories in a sec, but just to give you some context, like my work really started with and through the Divine Mercy. And that's why I was always confused, because I felt like people who wanted to know about energy really just wanted me to talk about energy, and people who were really, you know, into Jesus like would get mad that I'm talking about energy. And it's like I didn't want to isolate or alienate anybody, but the truth for me is that they're very intertwined, that Jesus created crystals, he created energy, just like the natural world is created by God, so is the energy world, the chakra system, and it's very, very, very interconnected. And that's always been the way I've done my work. And that's where I got my power to do my work. Like he taught me how to see energy, how to bring in positive frequencies to contact the negative frequencies that instantly dissolve them, no matter how long they've been inside of you, how many lives you've lived with these negative energies inside of you, causing negative things in your life and your health and your mental health. It is miraculous work, and I call my work Energy Queen Alchemy. And he let me be creative with it, you know, give it a name, do it my own way. But the number 1 and 2 energies that I use to clear negative energy, and I have healed people, I've healed myself, changed people's lives, literally gotten them off pain medication, gotten them, you know, real results in their lives, in their love life, money, you name it, family relationships. Even someone had a baby. She really wanted to be a mom. The top two energies in the energy world that I personally use to clear negative energy are the blood and the water, period. So I don't want anyone to feel, if they want to work with me, that they have to believe in anything specific, because I've had so much experience that they don't. You don't have to have any type of belief to work with me. You just have to be willing to let go of negative energy, right? But that's how I do it. So it's like, for me to talk about energy, it's hard to leave Jesus out of that conversation. And then, you know, I also don't want people to feel left out if I'm talking about Jesus and they're like, well, you know, this isn't for me. So the Divine Mercy becomes a really interesting doorway to walk through. And however you grew up, or whatever you grew up believing, or whatever you currently believe, I just encourage you to have a really open mind, because he did this for a reason. I'm going to link a link in my description so that you can read more of the Divine Mercy if you're interested. But basically, what it comes down to is, like, if you don't have a relationship with the energy of Jesus, what that is the energy of resurrection, which is the overcoming of negativity. So if you're somebody who wants to overcome negativity, this is, in the energy world, the most straightforward, and really, to me, like, from watching the energy world, it's really like, it's the one thing that will never let you down. It will always be there. It will, in fact, surprise you in really cool ways. So those are some stories I'm going to tell you right now. The first story I want to tell you about the Divine Mercy is a really, really cool story that changed my life. And all the stories are going to be different, but this one is about something that saved my life, actually, and that's why I developed such a strong belief in the Divine Mercy, was through what I'm going to tell you right now. So I grew up Catholic, and I never felt much of a connection to Jesus. I felt more connected to Mary. I think a lot of women feel similar to that, because if we have issues with men, our dad, or, men or boys who are around, things that happen to us, we might not be open to connecting with Jesus or even God the Father in a really open way. And I think that's where a lot of women find themselves and why they turn to spirituality. And a lot of women say to me, like, I actually am really interested in Mother Mary. And so I was similar. I always felt very connected to Mary, and I kind of found a connection there, more than with Jesus. And I just didn't really, like, understand him, to be frank and honest. Like, I just was like, okay, I get it, but, like, I don't really understand people telling me I'm supposed to have a relationship with him. And, like, I was just like, okay. But I got really, like, really sick when I was in my early 20s, and there was no diagnosis, and I thought I had mental illness. I tried all the medications. It was a very painful year after year thing where I just couldn't get better. It wasn't who I normally was. I was a high achiever, and then I just couldn't even, like, do anything. I felt like my family was turning against me. Like, everyone, like, felt like everyone gave up on me. Nobody I went to, I'm talking, like, nobody could diagnose me, whether it was a psychotherapist or a Reiki master. Like, no one could tell me what the problem was. And so I thought I just had anxiety, which was manifesting as physical symptoms. But it was really, really bad and really, really uncomfortable to be in my body. And I would literally go to the ER, like, on a Saturday night. That was, like, normal for me with my mom. That was, like, normal, because, like, I couldn't, like, I just, it's hard to describe, but, like, I was not well. I was not okay mentally or physically. And I couldn't go to school anymore. I couldn't go to work. I was basically just staying in my room trying to learn. Like, you might be someone who's doing that on YouTube right now, like, listening to somebody talk, learning. I listened to Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay. Like, I went to every professional possible, and that was my life, just trying to figure out what was wrong. I went to my doctor, like, as often as he would let me. So I was in a really difficult place, and I spent years doing that. At the same time being really young and feeling like I'm missing out on my life and I'm not normal, and what am I, I was really confused and it was really hard. And again, I didn't feel okay at all. And I tried everything in my power. I spent years on the philosophy, seek and you shall find. I was like, if I seek, I'm going to find. Like, if I keep looking, I'm going to find out what's wrong. And I dedicated my entire life to that. And it got to a point where I started to realize, like, I don't think I'm gonna figure this out. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna figure this out. And it was hard. And it's not like I could take a supplement or something and make me feel better. I didn't know what the problem was. So, after literally trying everything I could think of, for years and years and years and years and years, my mom had put a big poster of the Divine Mercy image in our kitchen, and like one of my brothers and his friends used to make fun of it and call it the Jesus poster, and I didn't mind it. It's just like, and during my searching time, I read the diary of Saint Faustina. She actually kept a diary, which is really incredible to hear the things that Jesus tells her. And I think because of that and the whole reading the diary, and I used to highlight the things that Jesus said. I thought it was really fascinating. And you don't always hear him talk that much in the Bible. So it was like hearing him say things, really fascinating. And I think I just got to a point where I was like, I don't know what else to do. And so I remember one night I just got down on my knees in front of the image, and I cried, and I just had my head pressed against, I'm having another flashback right now. I had my forehead right on the floor, like the tiles of the floor, and I was just crying, and I just said like I know, like, even if I haven't had a relationship with you, like, I know that you're real. Like, I do know that. And if you want me to feel this way, the way I feel for the rest of my life, okay, I can't do anything here. And I really meant it. I've been suicidal many times. I think a lot of people have. I think people are more open about that now, but yeah, I've been pretty much one time very close. And I just decided, I do believe that he's real. And if he's in charge of everything, then like, there's gotta be a point to this, and I'm just gonna basically submit to that. And because I don't know what else to do, because I really did try everything else. And I know that you don't want me to kill myself, and I don't even want to. That's why I'm working so hard to get better. I want to live, and I want to feel like myself again. But like, if I can't do that and you want me to feel like this, I just want you to know that I will keep going. I just accept it. I will keep going. I just will. And but please help me. I really do want help. And I think to get to a place like that is, I know people often say like, surrender, just surrender. But like, sometimes you need to like, I mean, for me at least, like I had to get to that point. It wasn't like I could just surrender. Like, I really had to like really try everything, and then I was able to be like, okay, I can't do this. You have to do this, and really authentically mean it. And prayer, I found, works when you authentically mean it. Like, that's one of the things that makes it work. And so I took the poster and I put it above my bed, and I just was like, I just felt better, because I felt like at least the one who created everything and can help me, all these professionals can't. So I know that at least if he wants to, he can, and I didn't even put pressure on him. I was just like, I know that you can. I just know. So like, I'm going to just put that with you. And I would like kiss him on the cheek before I went to bed. And like, he was like there with me above my bed. And yeah. And I felt just like, I just believed, I was just like, I believe that you can if you want to. And that would be great. And after years, it was only, I think, a couple weeks, maybe even less, that my mom heard on the radio someone I went to high school with talking about having Lyme disease. And she was like, it just sounds like you. And that night, his parents came over to our house, and I was sitting in a chair. I was like looked like a 90-year-old woman, like couldn't move. And I was like 25. And they looked at me and they were like, if you don't have this, we're going to be really surprised. And so it was like very clear to me, like, oh, like I was not able to figure this out at all. And then with like every medical test, every professional, every possible thing I could ever learn about. And then I literally get the answer. And I had a blood test through a company called iGenex that his parents recommended. And even with that, like the results were a bit inconclusive, but it was enough that it did seem like a possibility. And so I just went right off, like, you know, I had a whole binder with doctors and, you know, figuring out how am I going to get help. And that was the beginning of my life, literally, like getting my life back. It was like resurrecting. It was like, oh my God, I get to live. Oh my God, I get to get better. Oh my God. Like you know, so that was a miraculous thing that happened to me through that image. And I know that that's where my energy work now really began, because Lyme disease kills people, and it not only deteriorates your mental health because it like infects your brain, the bacteria, but it shuts down every organ in your body. And that's why I felt so shitty. But the part of the pain for me was dying and not knowing that I was dying, just thinking there's something wrong with me. That was painful, and being shunned by people and thinking I'm just not strong enough. And but I got very strong in lots of ways because of that experience. And so my faith in the divine mercy, as you can imagine, really catapulted because of that. And if you're close to death and you choose to live like I did, I didn't even realize it. I have heard that your pineal gland opens up and spiritual abilities can develop. So that's why I thought I was just going to go back to being normal. But the truth is, my life has never been the same. I started seeing energy visually. And I knew that this was all the gifts that I have now were from him. He gave me not only my life, but all these abilities and the ability to really understand people, because I've been in a tough situation mentally, physically, emotionally, gone through a lot of hardships and come out of it. And understanding the connection between energy and health, and energy, and, you know, being able to watch the energy world and clear negative energy. And so that's the first miraculous story I want to tell you. The second one is sort of interesting. It happened a couple years later. I was working in like a crystal store. It's called Rocks and Gems, if anybody knows Banff, Alberta. I have an aunt who lived out there, and that's where I went to get my treatment. And I would be going back and forth sometimes. And at one point I was just working at this store that sold like cool rocks and fossils and a bunch of crystals, which was really cool to be around. And there was this guy named Jamie who I worked with, and he was telling me one day, like, they had a staff housing apartment and it was really old. And he was telling me, like, it's really weird. Like, there's this like closet door in my kitchen, like this old little like cubby like door in my kitchen. And every morning, no matter how many times I close it at night, every morning it's always open. It freaks me out. And I was like, oh my God, it sounds like there's a ghost, like for sure. Opening this for some reason, something happened, or and he was like, yeah, but it just happens every day, and like freaks me out. No matter what I do, I put stuff in front of it, like every day it's open. And I was like, oh, that's so creepy. I want to come see it. So I went, and I remember I went over to his place, and I was like, show me the thing. And I, you know, from having that experience, I think I became a lot more fearless about just everything. And so that didn't scare me at all or anything, especially since I had started seeing the energy world and, you know, knowing that it's all very organized, we're very safe, and Jesus is in charge for sure. I learned that through my life being saved. And I went and I looked in it, and I looked around, okay. And I was like, I'm just going to have faith here, and I'm going to say a prayer. And the prayer I said is part of the Divine Mercy Chaplet, which Jesus also gave to Saint Faustina. And it's a whole chaplet that you can say. It's kind of like the rosary, but faster. And there's one prayer at the end of that I love, because it talks about the blood and the water. And from somebody who had my life saved by that image, you can imagine I had a lot of faith in that. And I just love that prayer. It's still my favorite prayer. And so I just said that prayer, and I said it with the same faith in him. You know, not like I don't need to make anything happen here, but I know that you can. I know that you can fix this. And I was almost saying it to the spirit that was there, that obviously was trying to get attention, or, whatever was happening. We let you go with love. And I said that prayer, just one time, but I said it with a lot of intention. And it goes, in case you want to say it, O blood and water, which gushed forth from the heart of Jesus as a fountain of mercy for us, I trust in you. And so that's all I said. And he came to work the next day, and he said, the door didn't open. And I checked in with him a few times, like week after week, like, hey, what's going on with that? And it's done. Nothing happens anymore. So that was miraculous to me, because it was like very clear there was like problem, just like with me and my illness, problem. Pray to the divine mercy image, or pray the prayer of the divine mercy, and it's solved. Very cool. The third miraculous story I want to tell you about the divine mercy is, it's so fascinating. Basically, oh my God, how do I even start this? Like, I've done a lot of, I've done a lot of work too. I want to say, like, this is why I believe energy work and Jesus, like, I did ayahuasca, and, like years after the stories I'm telling you about ayahuasca, I had past life therapy. Both really changed my life. When I did ayahuasca, I had a picture of Jesus with me. Like, I really put these things together. And I think that, when you start seeing the energy world, you realize he created that. It's like, well, that's just like doing anything with your energy is like doing anything with your health. Like, just because you believe in Jesus doesn't mean you don't try to take care of your health, right? So, yeah, I basically, after getting, my diagnosis and treatment, I got my degree. I finished my degree in English, and then I got a journalism degree. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, and it was just confusing, and I went to an internship at Elle Canada magazine in Toronto. It's like the top job I could think of in journalism, and I really hated it. I had a panic attack one day. I was just like, can't do this. And if I don't want to do the top job I can think of in journalism, like, I guess I gotta do something else. I gotta do something I love. So I did an open mic for comedy, my very first one in Toronto, in, I don't know, 2018, I think this was. Yeah. And later that year, I started having full days of deja vu. It was really strange. And I knew it was divine. I knew it was like divine. I knew it was Jesus and the whole thing. And I started having full days of deja vu, basically telling me, like, you're in the wrong life. And I was like, oh my God. It was so uncomfortable. If you've ever had those kind of visions, like, they're very serious, actually. Like, because they're showing you, like, here's how it is. And you're like, oh God, like, I really have to fix this. And one night I had an image, like a vision of, I think I've talked about this in videos before, but like the experience of hell is separation from God. It's being completely separated from God. And no matter how many times you cry out, he's not there. And it's very uncomfortable. Actually the most uncomfortable, even through, I've been through a lot, but that was the most uncomfortable, because at least if you're struggling in life, you can call out to him, right? In the experience of hell, no matter how many times you call out to him, it is terrifying. And that's what the definition of evil is, or hell. It's just separation from God. So that's why we need to choose to be close to him on earth, because we have the opportunity. Right now, you have the opportunity. And I love encouraging people to let him show you who he is. Like, I'm not even telling you to believe anything, because I don't think you make people believe things by telling them to believe. I think you believe through the experience I had. It's like, he'll show you. Trust me. If you put trust in him, he will show you. And that's how you get trust. And I think learning about things too, like the Divine Mercy, is really fascinating. It's a true story. That nun went on to become a saint. That image is now throughout the world, and um, they're real. It's a real story. And so, how can that benefit your life now? And I'm going to tell you something that it's mind blowing. But he basically, I was shown not only that experience, but I was shown the resurrection energy, the energy of the resurrection. I saw it through the energy, seeing the energy of the resurrection. And it was instant. That was so fascinating to me. It was instant. Like, it just done. That's it. And like, when he did that, he conquered all the negative energy. And so now what we deal with is just illusions. Fear is what negative energy is, and it's just an illusion. It's not even real. So like, he conquered it. Anything you're going through that's negative, it's already done. I could not believe it. Well, I could, but it was like, oh my God. And it was 2,000 years ago, already done. I was like, oh my God, everything that we go through and struggle through is already conquered. And it literally 2,000 years ago, like, we can't go back. Like, nothing is ever going to take you down anymore. And I started to really like he was like showing me, and in my life, a lot of crazy stuff. Like, I just like, my biggest dream was to move to New York and do comedy. And I hadn't done it for 10 years or something. And I took that small step of doing an open mic, and, in Toronto in my internship time. And I just, I was like, I have to do this. It's like, I started to realize, like, who you really are is the resurrected version of you. All the negative energy is not real even. So it's like, what's the highest version? Like, what in the whole universe makes you feel the highest energy? What does that life look like? That's who you really are, because all negative energy is not even real. So I was like, well, I would be living in New York and working at this specific TV show, but like, and it was after that he taught me how to see energy in the chakras, negative energy, take it out, dissolve it, so that it became a practical practice. And that's actually the sessions that I still do to this day. And this was 2018 going to 2019. And I remember on Easter, Holy Thursday, Easter week 2019, I was in like a really weird, like, not weird, but like, I spent a lot of time alone, and a lot of like visions and stuff were happening. And my friend and I went to the church downtown in the east coast of Canada, where I lived, my hometown. And we prayed to a statue of Jesus that's there. And I was just in this energy where I was telling her, like, if you ask him for what you want, he will give it to you. Like, and I really believed it. And I asked him for everything that I have right now. And I asked him for everything that I have right now. And I know more is coming because I asked him for it, and I really believed. And, I've lived in New York now for almost 6 years doing comedy. And the specific TV show I wanted to go to, within a few months, I was... it's crazy, but I was walking down the street and I get a phone call, and it's this girl who works at that TV show, and she's going like, do you want a ticket this weekend? And I was like, who is this? Like, what is going on? And my aunt, who I went out to stay with in Banff, when I was getting treatment for Lyme disease, she had an audio engineering student. She teaches audio engineering, and she got hired at this TV show, and she knew that I was a really big fan of the show, and she thought I lived in New York for some reason. So she got my number from my aunt. She was like calling me to come to the show, and I was like, I'm not even in New York. Like, and then I went to where I was living, and I told my roommate, and my roommate was luckily, thank you, roommate, thank you, Channing. She was just like, you should go. And I was like, what? And then I realized, like, it might be hard to go this weekend, but I could go in like 2 weeks. I could figure that out. And so I did. I like, in no time, I was at the TV show, meeting everybody. I met DJ Khaled. Like, it was like insane. And there I was. And I was like, weirdly not even that surprised, because it's like, that's the power of the divine mercy. Like it's transformative, and I think that this is a way that Jesus wants to reach us, because no matter what your concept of Jesus has been, and I think what gets in the way of your relationship with him is thinking that he belongs to other people, because a lot of times other people are very vocal about him and they're very authoritative about who he is, and some people even use his name to like push their own agenda. The truth is he's just love, and that's it. And so love, and the resurrective energy, like the divine mercy is an image of him as a resurrected being. And so that is, I think, why it's so powerful. And by putting your trust in him and asking for things, like, it really can change your life. And that's one thing that I just wanted to share, because this is like what's behind the work that I still do to this day. I've watched client after client after client literally resurrect past things that were holding them back for years, even if they didn't realize that that was what was happening. Like, some clients, I never even mentioned the divine mercy or Jesus, but they still were able to have those effects. And I think now what I want to do is just be more transparent, because that's how I do it. And if you've ever received energy work from me or had something happen, like, that's how I do it. And I have taught students to do what I do, and it's teachable to be able to see energy, perceive energy in your own way, and clear it. And everybody actually, I believe, has their own soul gifts that are waiting to be developed. So I hope that you enjoyed these stories. I wanted to share this because I'm excited about the divine mercy even more, just thinking about like all the cool things that have happened. And I know that if you start connecting with this image and with the energy behind it, if you're into energy, which I'm sure you are if you're watching me, the amazing things and miracles that are going to happen for you. So I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, you can like, subscribe, share, and comment, and let me know. Lots of love. Bye.